not sure you were born then.
So that's why.
Okay, fine.
That's why you were kept.
That's the only reason.
This was 25 years ago.
The only reason. Welcome to NCIS Partners and Probies. I am Diona Reasonover.
I am Brian Dietzen. Partners and Probies is the podcast to end all podcasts, at least when it comes to the NCIS universe, I would say.
Yes, and you know us from NCIS since 2018. I have played Casey Hines.
And I play Mr. Dr. Jimmy Palmer since 2004. That's a long time.
It's a while.
Yes.
But even before we were playing these characters, there was a man. There was a man who was creating NCIS, and he is our guest today. It is Mr. Don McGill. Don
co-wrote and co-created NCIS alongside the legendary TV creator Don Bellisario way back about, we're season 23. This is 25 years ago. And we talked to him today about just about everything about the formation of NCIS.
Stay tuned. We're going to hear all this with our interview with Don McGill on NCIS Podcast and Probies. We're going to hear all this. Stay tuned. We're going to hear all of this in our interview with Don McGill on NCIS Partners and Probies.
I like the first one better.
I do too.
All right, and here we are with Don McGill, series co-creator of NCIS. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Partners
this
and
is awesome.
Probies.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. So you are a writer on JAG. You meet up with Don Bellisario. The idea of NCIS, was it similar to what we know now? Was it different? Tell me about it.
Well, actually, when we originally discussed, so it was a spinoff from JAG. And when we first talked about doing a new show, it was, I have to preface it by saying it was only like a year or two after 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
And Don in particular, I mean, we all were pretty affected by it. But I remember Don citing that like it reminded him of Pearl Harbor because he was like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And when Pearl Harbor happened. Yeah. So we at first talked about doing a show that was really post 9/11 about like hunting terrorists. There was a book that Don had given me and some of the other writers called The Interrogator, which is, it's a really interesting book. It's about this World War II German Luftwaffe intelligence officer. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this book, but if you haven't, it's a great read. And he was the most successful person at interrogating American airmen and British airmen. And through sort of subtle psychops kind of thing, psyops, psychological stuff, no, torture or nothing. And he was able to get information. So Don loved that book, loved that character. And so when we first started talking about, it wasn't NCIS, it was whatever the new show was going to be. It was, how about we do something centered on this kind of interrogator character?
Right.
And it was very cool, but I remember sort of sitting with him in his office, bouncing ideas, and we started to come around to thinking that maybe post 9/11, everything you saw on TV was about terrorism.
Yeah,
and hunting terrorists. And it's like, and for me personally too, it's like I read the newspaper every day, and it's like when I go home and flip on the TV, I think I want to be entertained. And Don and I then talked more about it, and he's like, yeah, and he's like the consummate entertainer. No one does more how to create something that's, popular entertainment than he does. So I remember we both were talking about it, and it's like, we had been doing this show, JAG. I was on JAG at that point for a couple of years. All this time we'd been doing the show, JAG, which was, Judge Advocate General. It's about, law in the courtroom, in the Navy and in the Marines.
Yeah.
But the first half of the show, kind of like Law and Order, was usually an investigation of whatever the crime was that was going to then land in the courtroom, the JAG courtroom.
Yeah.
And all of those investigations were done by our JAG guys when we all knew that it was NCIS that did the criminal investigation, right? So, but to streamline JAG and make it, understandable, we didn't need a whole other group of people.
You had lawyers
to follow. We had lawyers and a whole, yes. So as important as like having coroners.
Right.
For NCIS. Yeah. So this thing, NCIS, already existed. JAG was a show that used with cooperation of the military, used a lot of military bases and assets, and we already had an established cooperation with the Navy. So Don was like, "Yeah, let's move forward with the NCIS concept." And then I sort of joked with him at the time that we would also get this is probably inappropriate, you'll have to cut it, but we get the dyslexic CSI audience.
Exactly.
And I was like, this is where we're headed.
I remember we played that a couple times. I think it was like the third season when we broke in, the agents broke in on a party.
Yeah.
And it was a costume party. And one dude turned and goes, "Bro, your hat's spelled wrong. Spelled CSI wrong." And then everyone started laughing. And then Mark Harmon and Michael Weathers was just like, like, we get that a lot.
Yeah. Well, later I'll tell you the flip side because I went to work on CSI.
I was going to say, you
Exactly.
sort of set your own future. You sort of.
I remember. Well, I'll tell you now. So I was in. We were scouting, and when you go scouting, a tech scout, then everybody goes to lunch because basically the tech scout is more about lunch than anything else.
Right.
And so we're all sitting there like having this really great lunch with whatever 40 guys and gals, and someone said, "So what show are you guys from?" And we said CSI, and they said, "Oh, that's the show with Mark Harmon." And being like the person who was scared to go to CSI because when NCIS came out, the CSI folks were really pissed. I was like, I'm going to go to the men's room now.
The funny thing about that, you're such a writer, you're such a EP showrunner writer, is that you gave us a teaser before that story. You were like, "I'll tell you about that later," right directly down the camera. That's
learn from the best. Learn from Don B.
Exactly.
But anyway, so back to NCIS, the creation. So we already had Don's production company doing stuff with the Navy. So the idea of doing like a show about terrorists and hunting terrorists, it just seemed like it didn't make as much sense as doing a crime show. And also, as I said, I had only been writing for a couple of years. I went to film school, and when I was in film school in college, I never watched TV. So when I got out of film school, I saw all my friends getting jobs in television, right? So I was like, And in those days, you just had like VHS tapes, right? So I literally VHS taped CSI, Law and Order, everything, and I reversed engineered them on paper and broke them down. So I was very aware of CSI and what the structure of that show was, particularly the team. So then it made kind of sense. CSI was super hot, and so it was like, if we do a show that's it's the Navy and crime in the Navy and Marines, but then we have a whole sort of CSI element, and then we have forensics. We might have something interesting.
What were you watching in film school? You weren't watching TV, so what? I'm assuming
I watched.
films.
So I went to. My background before that was in kind of documentary, and I went to film school. I still want to do documentary when I went to film school. Not to make this all about my history here, but and I went to film school because if you do documentary, you kind of, if you want to eat and have a family, you have to teach. So I wanted to get a master's so I could teach and do documentary. So I watched documentaries. I know a lot about that. And then I went to film school, and part of the program was they made you do writing. I was like, and so I did writing because I had to, and then I actually got into it.
You're bearing the lead though, because we talked about this a little bit. You were watching weird movies, and so was I, because I went to art school. So that's why I was like, no, I feel like the reason, I feel like the part of the reason I'm bringing this up is I was like, NCIS is not like those other shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wonder if a little bit.
It took a little veer off of the Law and Order pathway or something like that. And you focus so much on characters. So I think the characters are what separates NCIS, especially at the onset of NCIS, from other cop shows, other investigative procedurals. What influenced you to kind of give these different characters life? Was that you? Was that Bellisario? Was that the two of you together?
I think it's the two of us together.
Yeah.
So here's a classic thing. Like the two characters that are really, really Don and me.
Yeah.
Ducky is Don.
Okay.
And Abby is me.
Oh.
And so Abby's like a little piece of me, because I was always into kind of dark stuff, and
Yeah.
and definitely science.
And pigtails. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and caffeine.
Lots
Caffeine.
of
I might even
caffeine.
need some more right now.
There you go.
Got some back there if you want.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
This little
We can
cat
get you
pal.
some. We know people.
And so, I have to be completely honest, especially since I went to work on CSI later. There's a character on CSI who's the tech person who's kind of quirky.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
And I always loved that character because those are the characters that appeal to me. We were talking earlier, I watched movies more than TV before I started getting into TV. And I especially love lots of like British films.
Yes.
And the characters are always definitely quirky.
Yes.
And that's what's appealing to me. And so Abby from the get-go was just like a little piece of that, combined with, some women I knew. And it's just, Ducky is like such a Don character. It really is such a Don character. Going back to like Magnum.
Story for everything. And
Yeah. And for me, Abby's just like kind of a little bit out of control, inappropriate, all the things that when I've had a few whiskeys, I am.
So what was it like when you guys, because as you said, that's our NCIS ghost. There you go, man. Listener, I know you couldn't see that, but our lights just went out and came back on.
Yeah, it laughed. It went.
It liked that joke.
Yeah.
So what was it like back then when you said earlier this? I think JAG was your first staffing job. First job to be on a show writing something.
I got to tell you. Can I just tell you this story about my dear mother, who just died a couple years ago at 102 and a half, sharp to the end.
Wow.
She was a huge JAG fan.
Oh wow!
And I was in film school, and my aspiration was to, as I said, originally documentary, but then I got into writing, and then I really wanted to write features, comedies, like romantic comedies, is what I was into.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about doing TV and studying TV a little bit and getting into it. And I remember going home for Christmas, my mom had JAG on in the kitchen.
Before
TV.
you were on it, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I just got an agent, and I'm gonna, make a go of this and try to do it. And she's like, you really need to get on a show like that. And I was like, that would be great.
Yeah.
But you understand, like, my first job as a writer is not going to be on a network TV show that's like top show. And then flash forward like a year, I have an interview at CBS. And
was it with Don?
No. So it's CBS.
Okay.
And they're like, the interview went well, and they sent me over to the JAG showrunner, Steven Zito.
Okay.
And I met with Steven, and long story short, I got hired on JAG, and I'm like, Mom, I have an autographed picture for you, and I got a job.
It's so interesting because I'm just seeing all these little different aspects of you that I see in NCIS. Like, I mean, and I might say this and you might be like, none of that was me, but I mean, like the click flash with the documentary, Abby's personality, the sort of like interest in like a little bit more offbeat humor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I just see your DNA that feels like you just infused it so much in NCIS that we still carry on today.
Yeah. Well, but Don too, I have to say, the quick flash stuff, that's totally Don, editorial and Julie Watson, Don's daughter, is really great, editor and post-production person. So that stuff kind of evolved.
So question for you, you're in there as a rookie staff writer on JAG, and the showrunner comes to you, or not the showrunner, the guy who created JAG comes to you and says, I think I want to work with you on this new thing. I mean, what does that feel like? Because it feels like, like, let me take you under my wing, and I'm going to show you how to do this thing. Did it feel like, what was the relationship like? You said, did you feel like, hey, I want to help create this show, and I want to, have co-equal voice with you? And
well, I don't get to say that.
Okay, well, but
in that situation, but no, what happened was, so I think we were talking earlier. So I was working on JAG, and it was a little crazy the year I was on it, and so I was doing a lot of rewriting work, which is kind of odd for somebody I was a story editor at that point. And so Don, I guess, saw that I was doing a lot of work, a lot of heavy lifting. And so, he came to me in the hall. We were saying, literally put his arm around me and, hey, kid, I want to do a show with you. So then I called my agent. I said, so Don Bellisario just came and said he wanted to do a show with me. And he said, it's going to be 50-50 and blah, blah. And my agent just starts like laughing. And he goes, really? And I said, no, really, that's what he said. And he's like, no, really? And I was like, yeah, that's what he said. And I said, okay. And so that was it. So it was like was like, I want to do a show with you, 50-50, we'll go. And I think at that point, what he saw in me was like, work my butt off.
Mm-hmm.
I have zero ego, never had an ego in this business because I was just happy to have a writer's job. And I was like, even though I came to the business later because I'd had previous careers, I was still kind of like the kid, the young writer. So that I think he saw like the Abby stuff that came out later. I think he's probably figured I could do that because I was doing some of that on JAG.
Nice.
Wow.
So when you guys are in the process, obviously you're each writing one of the episodes, right? Because it's a backdoor pilot. You have 2 episodes of JAG that then serve as a template, as a pilot for CBS to say, do we want this show? When you get into casting the thing, were there any actors that you just looked at and you go, that's that person, no matter what? That's got to be Abby. That's got to be Leroy Jethro Gibbs. That's got to be Ducky. Who?
Yeah.
I know that from being friends with all these people, I know some of the stories of how they came to be, and I know, for example, I know Michael. It was kind of him having dinner with Don in Australia, and it was just like, do you want to do this thing? And it's yes, I want to do it.
Michael's already pretty.
He was pretty baked in, right?
Yeah, because I remember. So Susan Bluestein was our
wonderful.
Susan's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Patient, sweet, wonderful woman.
Yeah.
And so during the casting process, and again, remember, I'd never done any of this. So it's like, I was just there to sort of like say whatever I thought, but not expect anybody to listen. And so Michael, for example, put himself on tape. He was doing something. Yeah. He put himself on tape. And as I said, I studied TV when I decided this is the career I'm going to try to take a shot at. And one of the shows that I taped and broke down was Dark Angel.
Oh, no kidding.
Michael was like, co-star on that show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really, and I thought he was just amazing on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he put himself on tape, I literally remember like Susan telling me, my memory of it is I like ran down to Don's office. I don't know if that really happened or not, but that was the vibe I had.
You're
the
so
feeling
excited.
I had. And I was like, oh my God, Michael Weatherly, he's like perfect. And so, so he was already like high on the list. And then, or for that. And trying to think, so then casting Mark Harmon's character, there were a few people that CBS, sent.
You got a short list of some big names, I'm assuming.
I don't want to say that. Yeah, but yeah.
Was I on there?
Was Diona on there?
I don't know.
You can
Sadly, no, because I'm not sure you were born then.
So that's why.
Okay, fine.
That's why you weren't cast at all.
That's fine. That's the only reason.
This was 25 years ago.
Yeah, I've been telling her this for years. Thank you for laying that to bed for her because she's been harping on that for years.
We finally got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But you
the Abby character.
Yeah.
Abby Redux. I see it.
Cool runnings. Okay, so you get this short list.
Yeah, and so my wife actually is more of a TV person. Like since she was young, she's been like a fan. And so all these names came up, and then Mark's name came up, and I knew who Mark was, and I was where. Yeah. But my wife was like, Mark Harmon, summer school.
Yes,
and she's like, if you guys get Mark Harmon, it's going to be a hit. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
She called it, man.
And she's like, okay, I'll pass that along. Yeah. But she was 100% right. And Mark was incredible from day one.
Yeah.
So like really pretty incredible because that character needed to be like that. Sorry, I keep drinking.
Yeah, please.
No, please. You're good.
Because that character came out of, so as I said, once we decided to do NCIS, our proximity to like Camp Pendleton and the Navy base, in San Diego was like key. And so I went down there actually with Julie Watson. On a couple, I think 2 or 3, I can't remember, I've lost track, a long time ago, investigative trips down there. And the NCIS folks were amazing. The Marines were, of course, amazing and set up, big interviews with all their agents who were there on the base. And that's so I could get stories from them, get a vibe about their characters. And, and Tony actually came out of that. There was a guy there who I remember was a Baltimore cop. He was a Baltimore detective.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
I told you I was an Orioles fan.
Yeah.
So, and he was such a cop. He's like cool and interesting and like edgy. He was a little older than the Tony character, but he had been a cop for years and then decided he was sick of, Baltimore and wanted to see the world. And that's why he joined NCIS. He had all these skills. I know. Anyway, the Tony being kind of like a little bit of an urban dude, and, that came out of that, plus some other amalgam of characters, people I met. And then I told Don that there was, so NCIS, sorry if this is all boring stuff.
This is what we're here for.
Yeah. So NCIS is a civilian organization, right? Yeah. By necessity to not to keep everything without any undue influence.
Yeah, no conflict.
Yeah. So that's the term you should really be.
It's almost like I'm acting.
Undue influence.
Yes.
Yes, undue influence. So, but it didn't used to be that way. There were Navy investigators and Marine investigators. And I don't know I forget if it was, I think 60s or something, they started changing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But the Marines, once they have a beachhead, never leave it. So there were a few grandfathered in and older Marines who had not resigned, and they were still active. And I thought that was the coolest thing, because that was where you could have conflict, all the stuff. And so I remember going back, and Don Bellisario was a Marine. So I came back and I'm like, the head could be, they have these Marines who are still, and they're senior, who are still working now, and kind of a vestige of the old NCIS. And so that's where Harmon came from, which made it really different from, the way NCIS kind of really is, but also it just made it different in terms of the dynamics of the show.
But Bellisario also had a few other leads that were Marines, right? Or wasn't Magnum of that? Like Magnum PI?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then
I think he was. He was and
a Detroiter.
And a Detroiter.
Yes,
Always
right.
had the Detroit
You're
ball
right.
cap.
You're right.
Correct. And I want to say that
Airwolf.
Airwolf,
I think
for sure. Yeah.
No, Don's always had affinity for the military.
Yeah.
And I mean, having served in the Marines too is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, part of it, I have to admit, I was the kid doing the research and and then I would report back to the boss, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they sort of joke about at that point, Don, Don's he's Don, right? He has a lot of juice.
Yep.
And it seemed like CBS was already very interested in this as a spinoff. So it was more about, for me, when I would pitch stuff to Don, it's that's my audience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if he thinks it's good or he wants to go with it, it's probably what's going to happen.
But I want to go back to this a little bit, because saying that you mentioned maybe he could be a Marine, that's really blowing my mind, because it's so intrinsic to the character and the way the character moves and thinks. I'm curious what the Gibbs character was like pre that kind of Marine revelation.
Oh, no, you know what? So my going down to Pendleton and San Diego predated any of this.
Oh,
it was all about research to try to figure out who the people were.
Yeah,
the building blocks that you guys
Yeah. So no. So Gibbs from the get-go was going to be a Marine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And then Don, met with Mark and they talked a lot, and some of the stuff came out of just who Mark is, which is I mean, that's kind of one of Don's many gifts, but it is he taps into the actor rather than try to shoehorn stuff.
And a very, very good one at that. So it's just kind of it'd be silly to hire someone and not let them, evolve the character with you and whatnot.
Right.
So,
and here's an example why Don and I, you're talking about the quirky stuff, why Don and I think connected in doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So, he talked with Mark, and Mark was into woodworking and the ship stuff.
That's
so the whole
guy.
ship in a bottle concept, building a boat in your basement, how are you ever going to get it out? Yeah. That's classic Don, which I love too, because that's the way I think. It's do something just really weird. It makes no sense, but is interesting.
How do you think Gibbs gets those boats out of his basement?
No idea.
I like the idea that he like disassembles that he assembles it and then disassembles it, takes it outside, and then reassembles it.
Yeah.
So he's got a second workshop in his backyard.
Yeah, it's like little Legos. Like he builds it and then he Lincoln logs it outside.
Tetris.
Yeah.
The Tetris boat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in more of the dark arts that he has. He just like does some sort of like potion or spell and he teleports it.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's. I mean, what else? What other explanation?
What other explanation? A door.
Probably a large door.
Probably a door.
Now that I'm
Probably
thinking,
large,
maybe
yeah.
we're
We've
thinking
seen
it.
the
Probably
door.
a large door.
I
saw
think
the door.
but he loves his boat so much you tear down the house and then take the boat out and then
Yeah.
never.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. As you're developing all these characters, I have a question for you in regards to today's show, which is we're talking 23 years later after you guys developed this. Do you still see kind of your work, the DNA that you guys developed at the beginning? Do you still see that on the show today, on this show and the other subsidiaries?
And you guys, like, it's amazing. It's amazing because you are just carrying it forward. I mean, it's the same. So from the very beginning, and I should say this, from the very beginning, as I said, I studied all these shows. And the one thing, and I'll get in trouble here with my CSI friends, but the one thing that I felt didn't resonate for me when I watched Law and Order and I watched CSI and some of the shows was they were super earnest.
Sure.
And as you can tell, I'm not that earnest, but they're super earnest, but it was missing just a little bit of like lightness except for like, for example, in CSI, the Greg character in the lab, he did some funny stuff.
Right.
And they had some banter stuff, but it wasn't really like fun.
You know, when I first came on the show, it was in the first season, and I was just had like one scene an episode for the first couple shows. But then getting into the second season, I remember I attended several autopsies with McCallum. He said, "Do you want to go down to Mission Street with me?" And we'll go. And
You're a good man.
And, and it was one of those things like, I kind of want this job to keep going, so I'm going to go. And so I went with David down there. We sat in on autopsy after autopsy, and then they're showing us like what the techs do, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, and what McCallum ostensibly would be doing. And the thing that we picked up on, and that David had already picked up on from his prior visit, was how much each one of these people is talking about like the game last night or the date they had over the weekend and how it didn't go great. And I don't know if I'm going to get a second date. That sort of, it was talking about life, and it was also ribbing one another.
Right.
In the midst of this humanity, of this cavalcade of like death that's all around them, you know, people are keeping their sanity by making light and having humor in their life.
Ribbing amongst the ribs.
Well, yeah, ribbing amongst the ribs. They're holding a human head in their hands and they're making a joke about something and they go, oh yeah, back to this. And it was something that never felt disrespectful to me whenever I've been down there. It's not whatsoever.
It's not.
But there is something about that made it very endearing in saying, what you're doing is really important because this is obviously your life, you know, because you have to live while you're doing it. You have to joke around while you're doing it. And that's something that I think David and I tried to keep within our relationship on camera.
Right.
And then I realized as I'm looking around the set, you know, as the rookie of the show, like that's what's been going on this whole time. That's what makes this show different from some other cop shows where honestly, you know, I would look at some of these other cop shows and they would start whispering around the dead bodies. I'm like,
nobody does that.
They can't hear you, you know, like
I've been to enough of these like you know, drive-alongs. Nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
You just popped in my head. So this was purely for the read and the script when introducing Abby, but it was just that. Like you see how serious she is about her job, and I knew, as I said, it was just for the read because it's not network appropriate. But I had her wearing a T-shirt that said, "If it ain't stiff, it ain't worth my time."
Yes.
And that to me was just what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like you have to find a way to live with this horror that you're dealing with every day.
Right.
And you have reverence for the dead, you have reverence for the victims, but you can't like whisper and that's not how people live.
And if you treat every say victim of a crime as a family member that comes across your table. For example, if we're down in the autopsy where we are,
Oh, you can't.
you will burn out. You'll
Right.
shoot yourself in a week because it's like it's that intense. So there has to be levity. There has to be the bright side of life, which as I'm looking through Bellisario's prior works, I'm like, yeah, that's a through line. That's what happened as a threat. I look at Quantum Leap. I look at Magnum PI. These people have a way of being stuck in situations, but trying to look on the bright side of this crap stuff they're going through.
Right. And I think, so Steven Zito, who was kind of my mentor, because he was the showrunner in JAG and hired me. Both he and Don, I think the thing they shared in common was they both, Don was older than Steven, but they grew up watching a lot of like 50s movies, like classic movies.
Nice.
And a lot of war movies. And I think that they had that sense of like, there's a certain amount of like the cowboy, because it's all men, sorry, in those movies, fighting the war.
Did you just say sorry to me?
I did, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. No, but I'm just saying like.
And you apologize for saying sorry. So.
It's all guyish stuff. My wife would kill me if I didn't say that.
You're so sweet. Your wife, don't kill him. What's her name?
I can't say that.
Okay. Don't kill him, wife. Is that better?
Yeah. So, it's a common property state.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's it called again?
Communal property.
Communal property. Yeah.
There we go. Exactly.
The other day I told her I was using my masculine wiles to find my way through traffic. And she just looked at me like, really? You still say stuff like that? But they both, so Don, you're right. But those like old movies had a lot of that in them. There was a lot of like, we're in the SH, I can't say that right, but we're in the
say shit.
We're in the stuff.
Can you not say shit on this? Probably not this many times, but we can. Okay, so shit. So you're in shit.
So so military, like those old movies, like we're in the shit, but we're gonna, try to make the best of it and joke around with each other and razz each other, and it's like that is a big component of Don's oeuvre. So And, you're like making things pop in my head that I hadn't thought of for a long time. So, as I said, I did a bunch of the research to try to, go with Don to pitch this to CBS. And I remember in the CBS pitch meeting, there were a couple of stories I had heard. And one of them, I'm bringing this up because you were talking about the reverence for the dead, even as you have to do your job.
Yeah.
So there was a story that the NCIS guys told me where a guy had died on a submarine and his body hadn't been found. Sorry if it's a little gruesome, but hadn't been found. So he froze in rigor in a body position where they couldn't get him out of the sub.
Oh wow.
Oh boy.
So rather than,
waiting to thaw.
Yeah.
They cut him out of a sub, like
they brought him out in pieces?
$100 million. They cut into the hatch. This is the story that they told me to cut so they could get him up and out.
Oh, you mean out of the sub?
Yeah.
So they cut a hole into...
They expanded the hatch. They cut this hatch.
I'd assume they would have cut him. Am I gruesome?
That's the Russian Navy.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Yeah. But, I mean... The point is that probably is the Russian Navy. I mean, or most any other Navy probably. But I think there's something that I learned when I worked on JAG and then NCIS in talking to the military. Like there's protocols and the respect for the soldiers if something happens or the mariners. Something happens is like absolute. So they would not, mar a body to get it out.
Yeah,
well, I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand what you were talking about in a post 9/11 world. What are we looking for? I mean, we want to be entertained, but is there a way that we can pay respects and lift up the people that protect us every day while being entertained? Right. And I think that's the answer, right? You need to have this levity. You need to have, an affirmation of life, but it doesn't have to be whispering around dead bodies. It doesn't have to be that sort of thing while we're being entertained each night. And I think...
Yeah, and the reason my mom loved JAG and she loved NCIS, thank God, was because on top of that, there's just a like wholesome, like good old fashioned American vibe to it. It's not trying to be, favorite shows for me are like, Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah. Right.
But it's not being Boardwalk Empire because
Yeah.
my mom didn't want to watch Boardwalk Empire, and a lot of people don't want to watch Boardwalk Empire.
Which
But
is
they
a
do
great
want to
show,
watch
yeah.
a show with great stories, good mysteries, great characters, but also at the end of the day, you kind of feel good.
Yeah,
Also,
I
there's
agree.
that thing of the good guy wins, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with
No,
having that because Boardwalk Empire is a fantastic show. So
Yeah.
good. But yeah, it's a completely different vibe.
yeah. I mean, Mad Men, right? I love Mad
Yeah.
Men, but
Yes.
it's like, I like watching Mad Men. I'm not necessarily someone who's capable of writing Mad Men or would want to. I mean,
Well-
just because it's a different thing for me.
So running a show, you never ran NCIS. You
Not at all. Yeah.
no, you were but this was obviously your training ground because you went on to run numbers for CBS.
No, I never ran numbers.
But you didn't.
I
Okay,
didn't do.
I had that wrong.
I wasn't. No, it's okay. I was like one of 2 number 2s on that show.
Okay.
There were different showrunners, but
Yeah.
I learned a ton from. So, I mean, yeah, Jag, the showrunner, Steven Zito was probably my first and most influential mentor. He really taught me
Mhm.
the game. Then I learned a ton from Don.
Yeah.
And then I went to numbers. I learned from the showrunners there. And then I didn't even know I was walking into a showrunner job. I was hired at CSI.
Right.
As I said,
Yeah.
a dicey interview with the producer of CSI, not the showrunner. She's super sweet and wanted me to have the job. But the producer of CSI, who's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there knowing full well that the story of NCIS was when we were launching NCIS, CSI called CBS, that's right, and said, you can't call that show NCIS. There was
No,
a
I
whole
don't
fight.
know this.
Oh, tell
I
us
don't
more
know
about
this.
this.
Yeah, there's a
No.
whole fight because they're like,
Is that why
they
we
didn't
were
think my
called
dyslexic joke was funny.
Navy
And so,
NCIS?
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why it was Navy NCIS for the first year.
That's why. Oh my goodness. I had no
Because CSI
idea.
basically said, you can't do this. And, I understand.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why it was Navy NCIS. And then the next year it was Navy Criminal Investigative Service
Yeah.
spelled out. And then it became NCIS once the show was kind of launched and established. And the CSI folks were like, who
Yeah.
cares?
I mean, there's still streaming bits that still call it Navy NCIS.
Which is
Yeah,
funny
I mean,
because
it's still listings when it's, some of the early episodes, especially, it'll say Navy NCIS.
It was a little hard to explain that to my friends and stuff. It's like,
yeah.
I don't get it.
So it's the Navy
It's
Naval?
Navy Naval?
yeah,
Navy
Criminal
Naval.
Investigative Service? All right.
He should have said yes, and
Well, no, I did. I did say,
yeah,
it's on the air.
it's on the air.
Yeah. So speaking of, when you get over to CSI and you're running that show, what'd you take with you from NCIS to bring over there? I mean, is there anything that you're like, this is something that I want to infuse into this show, which is obviously already had its bona fides. It's been running. It's been successful as anything. It was the world's #1 show for a while. Like, what did you bring?
So here's the thing for me. So I thought I was hired as a number 2 to Carol Mendelsohn, who was the showrunner.
Okay.
But I didn't know she wanted to develop. So she brought me on, and by the 6th episode, she's like,
To replace her.
we'll work.
Okay.
We were co-showrunners for several years,
Yeah.
but she really wanted me to do it. And she's like an amazing person. She was my next greatest mentor, really.
Your third
after
mentor in a
Steven.
row.
Yeah. But I didn't know I was on there to run it until suddenly, there's a script that needs heavy rewriting in a couple of days. It's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, for me, I've worked on a few shows and then I consulted on Michael's show later.
Yeah.
The shows that are already established, I want to respect their integrity, what they have going. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
always going to bring some of the stuff that I'm interested in, which I did. I think I made some of the characters, I wanted to do stuff that was a little funny and weird.
Yeah.
And we did do that.
Yeah.
And I think some of the folks who were at CSI, more in the production, who had been on the show forever and were like,
Okay.
they were very protective of the show. I think they didn't like some of the stuff I was doing, but
But
I did.
Hey, it makes sense when you got Ted Danson coming in and
Did you
So
create?
there's the thing, Ted.
yeah.
Did you create his character?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So I created the character before it was going to be Ted. And yeah, now that you mentioned, that's a little more NCIS-y. That
Is it?
character was
Was-
supposed to be more
Yeah.
NCIS-y.
Yeah.
I feel like you can feel that within his. I mean, I wasn't sure if that was more Ted Danson because he's so gifted in comedy, or if it was something that maybe you had in mind, before.
No, definitely had it in mind. And it's funny, I haven't thought about it in a very long time. So I'm trying to remember, but that character was supposed to be a little lighter because Lawrence Fishburne had been the character before.
Right.
And he took over
and he's
from William
incredible.
Peterson. So William Peterson to Lawrence, they're very serious folks.
Sure.
Yes.
And so I just thought we needed something different and something lighter. And so and then I think Ted actually read the character and really liked the character because he felt like it resonated for the stuff he likes to do. So yeah.
Had you worked previously with him? Like when you say he read it,
No.
was it just a sort of like a blind pitch? Did you always have him in mind?
No, no. So it's like, even though, Carol and I were the showrunners, at that point,
Yeah.
Leslie Moonves decides who's going to be
Right.
the star of your show.
Yeah.
So it bounced around different actors,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even remember who all was under
Was it me?
consideration.
Again.
Once again, sadly, you need a better agent.
Yeah, I do. A better time traveling agent.
Yes.
Better quantum
Yes.
leap agent.
Yeah, I didn't know
I'll work on
Deanna's
it.
agent be catching strays like this in this podcast.
No, I'm sorry. I love you. Please don't drop me. Thank you.
Okay, I have some questions for you. So the fans of this show are called the Probies.
Oh
right?
yeah,
We have. I actually wrote on this one, so if you can read my chicken scratch, you can
baby,
help
I can't.
me. No, you can't.
No, I
It's
can't.
awful.
I'm sorry.
I have terrible
You
handwriting.
guys.
But at any rate, this is called Partners Probies. We've got a couple partners up here, and the Probies are going to ask some questions. I put it out on we put it out on social media. We're going to have Don McGill, one of the co-creators of NCIS,
The first question
on this
was,
show.
who is that?
No, you.
no.
No, hold on.
Your
no, stop.
name.
You every episode
show
it
to this
starts
day.
off, we know.
Boom, created by.
Okay.
And we have some questions for you.
Mhm.
Tachadas asks, would you, going back then, would you expect the fan base that NCIS has today when you were creating it?
Can I say something? Sorry.
Yeah.
Real quick. I definitely can't read his handwriting because that does not say Chitata, would you. Nothing about this says
No,
what
it does.
he just said.
It does.
Okay.
I write in code.
Yeah, Morse
You
code. Here we go.
You can't read it. It's great.
I love it.
So
It's like reading my kid's handwriting, apparently, right?
I play a doctor on TV,
Oh,
and so that
Method.
it kind of goes
Method.
over. I haven't written.
are you ever out of
That's a good
character?
one.
No,
No.
not till the DVD
He's got a
commentary.
dead body right out there. Just
Exactly,
waiting
yeah.
to be called over lunch.
And, well, it's been going for 23 years, and I'm going to break character as soon as we're done. So
And
When that-
I hope that is a long time from
Don
now.
McGill, co-creator of NCIS, is hoping it goes longer. This just in. But anyhow, yes. Speaking of, we're going on our 23rd year here. So when you are co-creating this thing with the legendary Don Bellisario, do you expect this sort of the fan base
No.
that NCIS has
No.
coming off of Jack?
And here's the thing. I expected older people to like the show.
Sure.
What shocked me was how many younger people like the show, which made me happy because, Abby's, that was part of the deal, but I didn't think that would translate into a lot of fans. But I would go back to my hometown and see my nieces who were kids. They were watching the show, not because of me. They didn't even know what I did, right? But they loved the show. Their friends loved the show.
Yeah.
And I would run into young people all the time. And, I always ask people what they watch, right? When I
Sure.
talk to
Yeah.
people. And the fact that so many young people, aside from the demo I expected,
Right.
were fans of the show was really like, I don't know, it was kind of cool. It really made
Yeah.
me feel good.
And
I'm.
that had to be unexpected.
Oh yeah.
That is completely unexpected. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, so many people, obviously they love me, but they tell me I became a scientist. I became interested in science because of Abby. I'm still interested.
Yeah.
I make my
Mhm.
kids do it. And I don't know if you know this, but I don't celebrate Halloween. And this year I dressed up as Abby.
You did.
I did.
You
I'll
did.
show you the
If
pictures.
you did, yep.
Oh.
I did. I was so cute.
That's
It was cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I was.
awesome.
All right, rapid fire. We got a couple more here. Ready? Landon asks, how much freedom does the network give you when you explore wild ideas and that sort of stuff as a showrunner, as a creator? I mean, how much of it is a co-creation with the network, and how much of it is just has to be you saying, no, this is the way it's going to be?
Well, it's interesting. So all the shows I've worked on, and so as a showrunner on CSI, but even, as a writer producer on the other shows, except for Numbers, all the shows I worked on were established. And when they're established, they give you a lot more leeway. Even Numbers, they gave us leeway because it was a show. It was a show where it's like David Krumholtz plays a math prodigy professor, and Rob Morrow is his older brother, is an FBI agent. Interesting premise where it's like, we'll use math to solve crimes.
Right.
So given that they greenlit that, they had no idea, I think, what it really was or why we greenlit it. So they were always kind of that. So that show, even though it was like not established, they gave us huge latitude there too, because I think fundamentally they were like, well, if it works, great, but we don't get how you're going to do it. Yeah. So most of the time they have to answer the fans' question. Most of the time they don't really get involved. Yeah. They'll only get involved. Generally, they only get involved with an established show in terms of casting,
right?
Okay,
big picture stuff,
like big arc stuff,
big arcs. And not even about the arcs, like in terms of the stories you're going to be telling, tapping into what they think the zeitgeist is. Then, and you pitch out a bunch of, like for the crime shows, you pitch out, what the first 6-7 episodes are going to be. And then they're like, usually they're just like, sure.
Yeah, sure.
No notes. No, they never say that.
No notes. Okay, I want your life.
I have one more here from you, from Zaps. Zaps asks, what makes NCIS successful in terms of procedurals? What's different about that? And why is this one on for 23 years? Why does it have this many spinoffs, all that sort of thing?
I don't mean this to be a cop-out, but there have been so many great shows with great casts and great concepts that don't work or that fail.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, it's hard to answer that question, honestly. You have to have luck.
Sure.
But I think that every successful show is the cast. And we got super lucky with the cast and still are. That is what sells it, because these types of shows are about who the fans want in their living room every night, what family they want to join. And so you could tell any stories, but if the people don't invite the viewers into those stories, it doesn't matter. So I do think that NCIS and the spinoffs have been successful because of the actors. And I mean, that's the way it is pretty much with every franchise that works.
Dude, we are definitely trying, but it's also successful because of the incredible research you put into it, of those little bits of you, that little bit of quirk, that je ne sais quoi, that doesn't occur in other shows. So thank you, truly, thank you so much.
Oh, sure. But I'll tell you. So this is a little bit of a weird story because Polly Perrette.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to tell the Polly Perrette story.
Yes.
Please do.
Please do.
We are both humongous Polly Perrette fans.
So Polly was like my favorite character. And when we got to the casting process, this is a little bit of a sad, happy story. So when we got to the casting process, you guys know how it works. The network, there's usually, it's down to 2 people for the role. And I feel so like it's awful for the actors. They're basically going
it's not fun.
To this, like for the fans, may not know this, like you guys know, the actors have to go to this like amphitheater at CBS with all the brass, the bigwigs there, and they have to do scenes under all this pressure of like, if I get this job, it's my career. If I don't get this job, I'm back trying to get another job tomorrow. And so...
And, hold on, and before you walk in, right before you walk in, they make you sign your contract. You sign your 7-year contract, so you're looking at the next 7 years of your life and saying, hope I do okay in there, signing it. And then
you're looking at it and you're going, this could change my life forever financially, fame-wise, all that sort of stuff. That's going through your head.
Right. So I'm very aware of what that means and how tense that is. And that's the part where I can't imagine the life of an actor, because I don't think I could take that. But anyway, so for the Abby role, it was down to these two actors. And as you guys also know, before you go in to perform for Leslie Moonves and the brass, you're in this like ante room where you sign your contracts and everything. Yep. And so going into that casting, there was one actress who everybody wanted to have the role, and it was not Polly. So
interesting.
Wow.
We went into the ante room, and everybody's gathered around the actress they all wanted. And Polly was literally sitting on a bench. She can tell you the story.
Yeah.
I think she'll remember it. She's sitting on a bench by herself. And I was like, and, I'm like the most junior writer producer person there, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't matter. I was just like, that ain't cool, She's here and they're all over there. And I was like, so I went and I sat with her because I was like, this is not okay. And we chatted and we had a great conversation and everything. So then she goes into the audition, right? And I feel so bad for the actress that everybody wanted. She just like wasn't on that day and she flubbed a little bit and everything. And Polly was Polly.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, so she gets it.
Yeah.
And the person,
Wow. Yeah.
But that's the weirdness of Hollywood, right? And I still think like Polly and I were like really good friends when I was on the show.
Sure.
And I love Polly.
Ditto.
But I think it all goes back to like that day when I was sitting with her talking.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't gonna like let her sit there alone. That was ridiculous.
And I know you can't say the name of that other actress because that wouldn't be cool. But
no, I think she went on to have a good career too.
Yes,
I mean,
because it's me. That was me. I'm kidding. Joking.
Yes.
No. You're breaking my heart like
no,
every time.
I'm joking. Come on, I just had to bring it around.
I know
It's
you're
a callback.
kidding.
It's a
I know you're
callback.
kidding.
It's a callback.
Yeah.
She just had to wait, over a dozen years later. And then
A dozen years later, and then I had puberty, and then here I was.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Don. You're
Don,
incredible.
thanks for joining us, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
For
It's
being
been
here.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And also, thanks for making a really good show that we get to now talk about on a podcast, and we get to keep doing 23 years later.
Well, I told you, thank you for keeping the show going. Like you guys are the ones that make it run. So thank you.
I get a Christmas card from him every year saying, keep going. It's pretty great. I love it.
That's so nice, because that's the name of the episode that you wrote.
I used to send you a bottle of wine, didn't I?
Well, yes, you've downgraded since then.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's fun.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Postage got you that
Keep
bad?
working if you want that wine.
Oh. So Don, I have to ask you, what are you going to do next? What are you working on?
Well, right now I'm just working on my family.
Oh,
nice.
I have been for a while. I worked for a pretty long time, pretty intense,
Sure.
like 7-day weeks for years and years. So then I, a little while ago, decided I just wanted to see my wife and kids. So I've been doing that. But, down the road when my 11-year-old, which is going to happen soon, doesn't want her dad around anymore, I want to get back to my dream of writing a movie. So I have a couple things I'm percolating right now. So I'll do the romantic comedy I always wanted.
Really? A
love it.
rom-com?
I love it.
An extremely dark rom-com.
And an
Good.
extremely dark rom-com?
Good.
Can you shoot it during our hiatus, please? Because I want a shot at this.
Oh my gosh, you guys,
And I'm the snarky friend. We tried this once. We did a play together where we had to play love interest, and we were both I was weirded out.
It was weird.
It was
weird.
weird.
Because
You might find this hard to believe, but it does have a snarky friend and a handsome, debonair,
Don,
edgy leading man.
I won't insult you by saying it writes itself, but I think this thing might produce itself.
I think it might.
Let's do this.
Let's go pitch.
I like
Let's go
it.
pitch.
Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you guys.
Really, really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming in. Thank you, Don McGill.
Thank you.
Follow and listen to NCIS Partners and Probies on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.